Hello, everyone. Welcome to the backseat of my car. I'd like to say that we're quite resourceful. Unfortunately, a few things went wrong this morning with internet connections, so I've had to drive into town and do this interview in the backseat of the car. But hey, we can MacGyver our way through most things in life. And speaking of MacGyvering things, fixing things, sorting things out, I have the great privilege of welcoming Katee Gray to the Witsup channels. Once again, we did a podcast with her a few weeks ago, got a great response. So we thought we would take the opportunity to invite Katee to our Facebook page and commence a bit of a Q&A session with her. So we're going to get stuck into that, but I guess I better bring her onto the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, the legend who is Katee Gray, the Hormone Nerd.
You titled me that title, actually. You were the original.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you coined that one.
Oh, I like it. Oh, geez. I'm a bit of a genius. That's awesome. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Really good. I have coffee. Thank goodness. It was a rough night.
Oh, gosh. With little mate?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But we're here and my glasses are hiding my eyes. So
Was it a full moon last night? Because we had a rough night as well with Frankie.
No idea.
Okay.
I have to ask my crystal friends if they were outside charging their crystals.
Oh goodness. Let's not go down that fluff too much. You know, I've got my limitations.
I won't put you into that.
Katee, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all that you do in terms of trying to educate people on all things hormones. We had a chat before we went live, and we're trying to figure out a great way to start these Q&A sessions, because I feel like we're going to have a few of these. There's so many questions out there. There's so much misinformation. There's a lot of lack of information as well, not just misinformation. So we thought that we would start with a really obvious sort of topic that, I don't know, I feel like people shy away from talking about it. I too shy away from it, which is another reason why I really want to talk about it more, because I think we need to, I guess, break down those barriers where people feel a little bit funny discussing topics like the menstrual cycle.
Oh, the menstrual cycle, or the P word, periods.
Oh my gosh! It's such a weird thing, because why should it be a taboo kind of topic? Why is it?
Oh gosh, so many reasons. I think I blame Harold the giraffe.
What?
From Sex Ed. Did you not have Harold?
Oh, okay, that rings a bell. Okay.
Yeah. I just feel like it didn't really set us up with the right language to talk about periods and hormones and sex and so forth, and it just made it pretty awkward. I feel like that's changing for the next generation. Thank goodness there are some great people out there doing great things for teenagers. But for most of us, we didn't grow up with periods and mucus and bleeding and menstrual cycles as common words.
Oh, God.
It was very, very unusual. So, yes, look, in my world, it's very common. But for a lot of people, it's like, ick, ooh, I don't want to go there. And that's totally fine. But what lies beneath those icky words is a really important topic that, when understood and when there's awareness, can completely change people's lives, one, but two, elevate performance.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the keys with you, as in Katee Gray, the Hormone Nerd, is it's not just talking about the icky words and menstrual cycle and hormones and everything. It's actually about utilising that information for performance gains. And I think that's a really key difference, because personally, I never saw it as in any way an effect on my performance. I was and Katee knows this because she's one of the ones who's educated me I still need a lot more educating, but I didn't want to be that hormonal girl who couldn't do this because of her period or was a little bit crazy or upset or, whatever. Like, I just refused to be that person. So I completely just blocked that out and refused to believe that it would have any effect on my training and training performance. And I assume that I'm not the only one out there.
Oh, absolutely. There's that, no, it can't possibly affect me feeling. There's also the lack of awareness and knowledge of symptoms that are related to hormone imbalance, or symptoms of, say, overtraining or poor performance that are related to the hormonal system, and that goes for guys and girls or women. So there's that, and then there's the awareness piece and just being connected to what's happening within your body. And for an athlete's mind, they should already be doing that in terms of perceived effort, tapping into how it feels, tapping into muscle soreness and fatigue, and being aware of their body. So it's the same skill, just funneled in a different way, and paying attention, because it's so common for me to consult with athletes, male and female, and they're like, oh, I don't really know why I feel like XYZ, fatigued, low mood, unmotivated. And then when we dig into it, there's so many reasons. Like, they feel like they're at the end of the road, like there's something extremely wrong with them. But there are some really simple strategies out there when you can understand what's happening with your body. So it's the awareness piece, I think, is key to start with. Definitely.
We sort of wanted to start this conversation with a few sort of key ideas, but the whole point of this, guys, is for you guys to pick Katee's brain while we've got her front and center. So we'll keep deferring back to some of the topics that we want to touch on, but we've already got a question straight away. So I feel like let's just dive straight into the questions as they pop up, if you're okay with that. You ready?
Ready.
Half these questions I'm not going to even know what they mean, so I'm like looking forward to finding out the answers. Okay, so Jordan has said, how bad is the BCP for a female athlete?
Oh, birth control pill.
Let's assume that.
Oh, that's such a big question to start with, and a loaded one. Okay, here we go.
All right, sit back, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done, Jordan. Birth control pill. Here we go. All right. Informed consent is my first point on birth control. My main problem with it is its utilization or prescription without the knowledge of what it's doing to your body. It's just this blind, I'm going to Band-Aid how I'm feeling with this because I've been told that that's my best solution, without actually researching or investigating root cause and what might be going on. So to give more context to that, birth control pill is often prescribed for things outside of contraception. So it's acne, poor moods. It might be prescribed to make life easier around training and racing. And I just think it's very, very important that if you're going to take that step, that it's an informed one and you understand the impact on your body by taking it. Birth control pills do deplete nutrients. So they deplete things like zinc. They deplete things like selenium, magnesium. It also impacts your gut microbiome. And I feel like there's a lot more awareness now about how important that is to our overall health and mental health and performance. So it's not a small decision, even though it's handed out like candy. So that's the first thing. Needs to be an informed decision. The other thing is that all pills aren't created equal. So there are triphasic, biphasic pills, and they've got different levels of hormones and they do different things. So the amount of times I come across women on birth control pill that don't actually understand the different hormones in there, and they might be missing or skipping certain pills, and not understanding that that's wreaking havoc on their hormones as well because of what's in there. They actually change throughout the month. You do need to follow it in order in some cases. The type of pill you're on will change, like a hydration strategy for a race, for example. That's so important.
Wow.
Yeah, look, this is a massive topic. So if you want to take birth control for contraception, I would say there are other ways, ideally to go towards first. There was a research study. It's out of the UK. I can find it if people want the link. I think there was about 1,000 women interviewed. I'm going to bring up the stat so I don't stuff it up. But
we'll also add these links once we finished. We'll add the links to the description, and we will upload this chat to YouTube as well and add all links. Jordan's just said, sorry. It's a
great question.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. This is actually what we were talking about when we decided to do this. This came up in conversation straight away. So
pretty fired up.
Yeah.
Okay, so 50% of women aged 25 to 34 believe that you can get pregnant on any day of your menstrual cycle. So with that belief, of course you feel like, oh, I need the pill or something to protect me from pregnancy. But in truth, you can only get pregnant around 3 to 6 days of a month. And so that means, that's with a regular menstrual cycle. That means you only need to be particularly careful with other methods for 3 to 6 days out of a month, which isn't that hard when you understand and know your body. So what I'm proposing is that you understand and know your body and track your cycle for performance benefits, because it can feed into your training. So you match it to your exercise, which we might get into. And so along with that, you'll also get a picture of when it's, if you're wanting to prevent a baby, when it's safe to do so.
Yeah.
And there are other devices. So there's a device called Daisy, which is a thermometer you pop in your mouth each morning. It's got Bluetooth, connects to your phone, and will also tell you very accurately. I think it's 99.7% accurate. I think its accuracy is actually higher than the pill. Someone might want to research that and check that I'm correct.
Yeah.
But it picks up on when you're fertile. So it will tell you when you're good to go or not good to go, depending on what phase of life you're in.
Wow.
So, that's a really a safe intervention method for contraception that doesn't impact your hormones, your micronutrients, your mood. Like, the amount of people that report mood issues when going on a birth control pill is astronomical, me included.
Okay. So, all right. So I feel like I love, we've touched on this in the last couple of minutes. I feel like, based on what we've discussed off camera as well, that this is a conversation, like a whole other topic that we can do a whole section on.
Let's do a whole thing on it, because there's obviously so many methods as well. There's probably going to be questions about copper IUDs and marinas, and they have different impacts on performance. So, yes.
Yeah, so I reckon, Jordan, great question, and I feel like we're going to follow up with this with, I don't know, either a written piece. We can do another Q&A purely on that. Otherwise, I think we'll get stuck on that topic straight off the bat. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Just another comment that has come in. Catherine has said, my gyno told me night sweats are a normal part of my menstrual cycle and I should suck it up. Oh my God, I can feel Katie's brain exploding. I always get them the week before I get my period. What things should I consider to help the symptoms? Great question. And you've fired up Katie. We're what? 10 minutes in and 2 people have already fired her up. Good job, guys.
I'm going to need my legs up the wall after this. I need to breathe.
Is that to get pregnant? Isn't that an old wives' saying?
To clarify, that's to bring cortisol levels down. Not planning on getting pregnant at this stage with a 4-month-old. No, thank you. Okay, so to the question. First of all, find a new gyno.
Yeah, flat out.
That's pathetic advice. I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah.
This is, I get really fired up because culturally, this happens so frequently when women and men go to doctors and talk about fatigue or symptoms that they're experiencing, like mood, and they just get whacked with, suck it up, it's normal.
Yeah.
Or here's a Band-Aid type of medication. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, if there are symptoms that are unusual, that's feedback that something isn't quite right. Now, in the case of hot sweats, probably depends on what stage of life. So if we're talking teens, 20s, early 30s, leading into menstrual cycle, it definitely indicates a hormone imbalance that needs to be corrected. It's normal to feel warmer and, say, sweat more leading into your period, but like significant hot sweats, that's telling us there's something going on. And that's usually an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, usually.
Right.
And so to investigate that, the answer isn't try a bunch of supplements and pills. The answer is to do testing, pathology testing, and find an integrative doctor that's going to be on board with that and support that. Late 30s, 40s, 50s, what it's indicating is potentially a transition into perimenopause and menopause. And I think that's also a little bit of a misconception. Particularly for women in their 30s, they don't understand that perimenopause symptoms can start then, as hard as that is to hear.
At what age?
In your 30s. So that transition does take a long time. And so symptoms of that perimenopause, which is when your hormones are starting to change, can show up. That doesn't mean you suck up the side effects or the symptoms. It's just feedback that you need to shift something. What you need to shift will depend on pathology results. So getting some hormone testing and general biochemistry, and then going from there. And that's where you need a good practitioner. From there, usually the solutions are going to be something like looking at your gut health to make sure that you're detoxifying estrogen properly, because that can be a real hindrance and reason behind night sweats. Is that excess estrogen. Other solutions are things like detoxifying your life. So being mindful of the products you use on your skin, your body, your hair, plastics around the home, products around the home. So that there's some really simple action steps you can take, like not microwaving things in plastic, not drinking out of plastic. So that's some simple action steps there. But step one, find out why, go to root cause, come up with a plan, implement lifestyle changes.
So, and I know I've had this issue as well. I've been to a GP, and it was basically, you're tired, you need to sleep. That's essentially the answer, which I know. But the thing is, I was so lucky to have you in my life that you picked up on this stuff early for me. Well, you picked up before I got really, really, really bad, but I was close to getting pretty bad. But without you, I wouldn't have known where to even start.
That's common.
So, and guys, we will also, you can get in touch with Katee, and actually talk us through how you consult with people so that I'm not doing anything wrong.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just coming back from maternity leave, so I am doing limited consulting. I've got 2 days open a week, or 2 half days. So I'm generally just checking with each case prior to make sure it's a good fit, and otherwise refer out just because of my capacity at the moment. Otherwise, I've written so many articles and there's podcasts out there. So depending on the issue, I might just be able to shoot you to books and podcasts, etc., without needing that full intervention of consultations and testing, depending on what's going on.
But you're definitely a great place to start, at least push you in the right direction. So we'll make sure.
I don't have all the answers, but I usually know someone who does.
That's what I love about you. And I feel like that is what is missing a lot in, across many industries, is that people are too scared to say, I don't know, and refer. And, You are brilliant at that, and I think it's so, so important. Catherine also said that she's 40 and has another question, so
go for it.
Let's keep going. Another question about, I have another question. What about training during pregnancy and your hormones are going cray-cray?
When your hormones are going cray-cray. Oh, yes. Okay. So training in pregnancy is all relative to what you were doing prior to pregnancy. And so if you've been consistently training as an endurance athlete, 10, 20 hours a week, it's going to be very different in pregnancy if prior to pregnancy you were training maybe 5 to 10 and weren't really doing a lot of endurance. So first of all, what were you doing? And then it's scaling back from what you were doing. Now, that scale back could be a scale back in volume, or it could be a scale back in intensity. I would highly recommend in the early stages, it needs to be a full pullback on intensity for the viability and safety of a bubba. Now, what that looks like is, if anyone's familiar with math training principles, which is essentially working in your zone 2 aerobic, you need to pull your training back to 98% of the time in that zone. Other things you can do to support hormone balance throughout pregnancy is strength training. So definitely don't pass that up. And that is something you could start under guidance of a good trainer or strength coach in pregnancy. If you weren't doing that before, don't stress, definitely get started. But it's just not overdoing the volume or intensity from prior. But how to manage pregnancy specifically when your hormones are going cray-cray and you don't feel like it, there are a couple of things you can do. One, don't do it if you don't feel like doing it. Just go easy on yourself, be kind to yourself. There's never a better time to do so.
Great answer.
And let's say you had planned on doing a zone 2 aerobic run and you wake up feeling nauseous and heavily tired. Movement is energy. It's absolutely going to help you. So this is the case for any athlete, regardless of whether they're pregnant or not, male or female, is to go for a walk, pull that back. Or maybe the intention was a 40-minute aerobic run. Go out for 10 minutes, and if you still feel good, do 20. And then if you feel okay the next day, you know that was the right decision. If you don't feel okay, then you need to pull it back to a walk, something like that. I know athletes find those decisions quite difficult. So it's just in our brain, it's in our nature. So that's where a coach comes in handy, just to tell you what to do. Alternatively, heart rate variability technology also takes that decision out of your hands. And is just a really objective measure of whether you are ready to go on that day or not. It's just a little bit of sense, to be honest. Baby comes first when it comes to pregnancy. And if you're not pregnant and you're trying to make these decisions, your longevity in sport is the number one priority.
Great answer. I think my favourite part of that answer was be kind to yourself, that there actually has never been a better time to take that advice. Jordan, I didn't know that you're 49. Wow, you look amazing. She's looked after herself. She
goes pretty swift too.
Yeah. She's just thrown another question at us. These are great questions, and it's covering all the topics we wanted to talk about anyway. So I'm just listening, taking notes. Jordan, I'm 49 but still having very regular periods. I'm aware that perimenopause and menopause are on the horizon, so I'm curious how those hormonal changes will impact my athletic performance.
Very good question. It's relative to your lifestyle. And so, Jordan, I know a little bit about your history, so I'm a little bit biased in my answer here.
Oh.
I know that you've done a lot of work on hormone balance and adrenal support in the past. So the key is, if you maintain that now, that's going to help the transition. So the key is to manage cortisol load, which is stress hormone load, with really smart training and lifestyle habits, which we can get into, so remind me. That's the number one piece. if you're not feeling any symptoms of perimenopause, that's a great sign you're doing good things nutritionally and lifestyle wise. In terms of the change in performance, I won't lie, there will be a shift for a duration of time. 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, it might get a little bit hairy and feel a little bit strange as your body adjusts and learns your new normal. That doesn't mean that you can't come back after that and adjust to your new normal and enhance performance thereafter when you are postmenopausal. I've got an athlete who PB'd at Ironman last year by about 15 minutes, and it had been 8 years since she had done times like that, and she's 55.
Oh, wow.
So she's going faster than she did in her 40s.
Wow.
And how we got there, so she was on the brink of burnout, ready to leave the sport. And how we got there was doing the 80-20 principle. So 80% MAF or zone 2, 20% zone 4, 5 plus, and that polarized approach, as well as a gut protocol and hormone testing and lifestyle factors as well. And then missed a Kona spot by 15 seconds.
Oh!
So, and then PB'd on a 70.3 by like 30 minutes. It was just insane. So anything is possible if you give your body the love and respect and just work well with a practitioner during that time. Don't hope for the best. It does require some strategies to make that transition easier, because when you've done endurance sport for a long time, it's not a natural thing for the body to go through. So there's going to be an accumulative inflammatory effect over time, or perhaps an effect on your adrenals over time that can make that transition a little bit hairier if you don't have the right support nutritionally or supplements, etc., or training changes.
Oh, sorry, sorry. There we go. I've just had to fix something. My camera just went off then. Excuse me for one.
In conclusion,
that's all right. There we go. We're good.
In conclusion, honestly, menopause doesn't have to mean it's over at all. And it's like many transitions in life. The way I'm framing my current transition from pre-baby to now being a mother is I'm not comparing my previous times and experience. My new normal starts now. I've got nothing to compare to.
Yeah.
I'm in a new body, a new mind. I'm starting from a completely different platform and a completely different base. And so you can treat that menopausal transition as a similar time.
Right. She's just quickly said thank you. And is it a question of monitoring via blood tests? Is that a...
Yeah, I would prefer... I know it's a little bit more expensive, but it's honestly worth it. Is dried urine testing. So there's one called Dutch, would be my gold standard and preferred testing when it comes to hormones, particularly at that perimenopause, menopause time when you're just deciding what to do in terms of whether you want to do hormone replacement therapy of some kind, whether it's bioidentical or that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, just for informed choice, I think that's a great way to start. But if you're doing regular testing and you want, then a blood serum is also fine and much easier to do and cheaper and all those sorts of things.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to keep firing questions at you. I think that's the best way to go. And guys as well, we definitely will have Katee back on again. We do have limited time today, so we'll do our best to get to everyone, but we will be doing a few more of these, I would say. All right, this is a big question. It takes up the entire screen. This is from Lincoln Stephen. Hi, Katee. Couple of questions for some issues I know my friends are having who are in their 20s and 30s. Any general nutrition suggestions for female facial cystic acne trying to take a natural approach after previously using OCP from mid-teens, and antibiotics more recently, along with many different topical products over the years. The next one is also natural nutritional approaches to addressing endometriosis and PCOS. What type of practitioner would you recommend for each of these issues? I understood about 3 of those words in that entire sentence.
That's all right. I did. At least one of us. We're all good. Okay. Question 1: hormonal acne. So, really common prescription for acne is the pill and antibiotics. They are absolutely a band-aid, not getting to the root cause. So when someone comes off that pill or antibiotics, the problem is still there, and then it can create other health issues because of the effect of those prescriptions. So we should absolutely be looking at other avenues, as Lincoln put it, so natural nutrition. Acne is generally driven by a gut microbiome issue. That could be too low in a particular bacteria, too high in a bacteria. It could be there's a pathogen like a parasite. It could be what's called leaky gut syndrome, where toxins leak into the bloodstream, create inflammation and create hormone imbalance. And so then acne arises. So acne is a really great piece of feedback, actually. It's a really important sign to pay attention to when it comes to hormones.
Yeah.
I know how frustrating it is. I suffered from it terribly as a teenager, and I was given the pills and the antibiotics, and I paid for it big time in my 20s, big time. So, yes, there's a lot you can do. I also spent a stupid amount of money on expensive facials and products that I could not afford. They sent me broke because I was so desperate. So I completely empathize and understand that situation. But please know that, again, a practitioner, some blood tests, and probably a gut microbiome test, and then you can go from there. And that would the steps after that would probably be a gut protocol, which might take sort of 3 months. And you're not just going to get benefits of skin improvement, you're going to get benefits of increased energy, better moods, brain clarity, and stop reoccurring acne as well.
I feel like the underlying theme to all of this is band-aid fixes. That just keeps coming up, and I feel like that is, and like we sort of spoke about in the intro, in the written intro, is that we are here to dispel a lot of those myths and misinformation out there. And I feel like the Band-Aid fixes are really up there.
Immensely. That's a big conversation as to why.
Yep. Okay, sorry to be rude. I keep looking down at my phone because I've got questions on my phone as well. I'm juggling a camera, a laptop on my lap. That's what they're made for.
Only you could do this.
Okay. From Anonymous, what strategies do you recommend for managing cortisol levels?
All right, so we touched on this a little bit earlier, actually, and this is at the crux of so many hormone imbalance issues. So whether it is acne, bloating, fatigue, mood issues, poor performance, adrenal dysfunction, overtraining, these strategies will absolutely help you. So cortisol is a stress hormone. It becomes problematic when it's abused. So when you push too hard, go beyond, overtrain, and you overreach too far, or you don't listen to your program or your coach or your body when it comes to rest and adaptation. Cortisol is a really positive thing. It creates a hormonal change to increase testosterone, and that's how you build power and muscular strength. It's absolutely necessary for performance. But when you go from a training session, you don't cool down properly, you go have a coffee, you rush to a meeting, you sit in traffic, you get angry, you go to a meeting, and you don't sit down and breathe and eat your lunch, and you eat it in front of your computer on the go. Your cortisol just never has a chance to come down. It's just up, 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 and you're demanding more and more of it throughout the day, throughout the week, the months, and the years. So to manage that, things like doing a cool down properly, and that means bringing your heart rate down into zone 1, zone 2. Do not skip the cool down. Your hormones will thank you. This is for guys and ladies. Make sure you do your recovery sessions as recovery sessions. Seems simple. It doesn't happen for some reason.
Never heard about that at all in triathlon.
No. Adaptation weeks. If your coach or your program says to reduce your volume or intensity for a week, do it. It's very, very important. It's also a fundamental to improving performance. You know how there's a lot of speculation around why post-pregnancy women have better performance? Yes, there's like a few things around hormones, but honestly, it's probably because of the rest.
Yeah.
Like they stopped.
Yeah.
And then they rebuilt, or they trained for 9 months in zone 2.
Yeah.
And built this epic foundation of robust base. Anyway, I digress. Cortisol strategies. Post-training, popping your legs up the wall. You can just Google what that is. And belly breathing is so important. We touched on that in the podcast.
Yep.
Meditation, mindfulness, yin yoga. That was a chest breath. Try again. Belly
breath.
Damn
it. Oh, yeah, I've got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, that's so funny. God, you're good.
Other cortisol strategies are things like getting your nutrition right. So if you do a training session and you don't fuel afterwards, that's another stressor on your body that it doesn't need. So you need to refuel properly. And if it's an intensity session, you need to fuel properly during. Other cortisol strategies: surround yourself with good people. Don't look at negative crap on social media.
It's
the list goes on.
It all affects all those cortisol levels, and we've said this 1,000 times before. I've stolen it from you and plenty of other people. The body cannot decipher where stress is coming from. It is just stress. So those cortisol levels are up there. I've just got a note from the Fertility Suite, which is Jenna, another amazing person in my life who's helped me. And she's like, I see that this is for everyone, but I feel like she's just talking to you, as in you to me. It's true. We will have to wrap this up in the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes. But one thing that is probably, I don't want to say it's the most important question, but it's probably one of the most obvious questions when it comes to the menstrual cycle, and particularly with athletes. What if I do not get my period?
You need to do something about it. That's for sure.
So as a society, do you feel like we have moved on from that badge of honor that I don't get my period, which means I'm super fit? Or do you think, I still think there's certain, that still exists?
It definitely still exists, just at a lesser extent. I think it's improving. I hope it's improving. In my world, it's improving. So I'd love to hear what people think out there in other circles. So where for me it's most concerning is teens. And this is where coaches are so important. Yep. So important. You need to know whether your teen athletes are menstruating if they've started, if it's regular, and if they haven't started. If you have an athlete that's 17, 18 and they haven't started their period yet, you do need to help them address that and send them to a GP or an integrative practitioner. It's not something to be ignored. I think the badge of honor at that age comes from a perception that their performance will change. I know old school wise, there was a bit of a mentality of, well, you'll get boobs and put on some body fat, therefore it'll make you slower. Unfortunately, there is this huge dropout in our sport around the time that women get their period for the first time. And because they're not supported correctly in understanding what's happening and that any performance dip can be nurtured to bring them back to where they were or better. It's, again, like the menopause conversation, it's just a transition phase that we have to look after them a little bit more.
Yeah.
With support services of nutrition, psychology, supplements, potentially, lots of other things.
Yeah.
Then in 20s and 30s, where it becomes a significant problem is if you're not getting your period, that's a big red flag that fertility could be an issue down the track. And hey, as a 21-year-old, that didn't concern me.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. We're not thinking about how it's going to feel when it's really difficult to have a baby late 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
But it starts then. And it is important to have a regular menstrual cycle. If it becomes irregular, it's not about fertility. I mean, that's going to change your mood. It's going to change your weight management, acne, energy, gut issues, like the list goes on, and performance issues as well. And what I see is it's not a matter of if it becomes a problem, it's a matter of when. Yep. Always.
You mentioned coaches. Yeah. I could be speaking out of turn, but I have a feeling that a lot of coaches, men and women, are not across this information enough. And to me, that's a very scary now, but a very scary future.
Yeah, it worries me. For a long time, that's been my passion that I want to help change, but that's a big brick wall to try and push. It's not received that well.
From like federations, organizations, coaches themselves, the entire industry.
Right. I don't think the importance is understood. You know, I feel like there is still a little bit of that mentality. Let's push them all, smack them up against a wall and see who survives and take them through.
Right.
But what if we didn't take that approach?
What?
And I think the other piece of information, coming back to the conversation with birth control pill, it's really important to understand a period on birth control pill, I shouldn't even say that, a bleed on the birth control pill is not a period. And I don't think that's well understood or known. So people say, yeah, I've got a regular period, but they might not mention that perhaps they're on birth control. That is not a period. Okay, so if you're on birth control, that could be masking some hormone imbalance or insufficiency. So when you come off, it might take years for a period to return.
Right.
A true period.
Yeah.
And that can be problematic for sure.
Wow. I'm really sorry, but we plan to do this for about 45 minutes and we've hit that marker already, and I'm really bad at wrapping things up, but I have to. I
love those questions. That was really good.
Yeah, such great questions. And I think it's very obvious that there's a whole bunch more questions out there.
I know we had some blokey hormone questions too. So next time, guys, if you've got those, please tune in.
Yeah, please do. We've got some more questions off screen. Jennifer Davis has just asked a question as well. We just don't have time to get to them all today, but we will 100% do this again very, very soon. If that's okay with you, Katee. You're such a wealth of information. And I love the way that you deliver that information as well. It really resonates. So I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy mum who's also trying to work and just live life. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anything that you would just like to sign off on?
Be informed. Whether it's to take some form of contraception, whether it's to take a certain dietary approach, whether it's to take a certain performance approach. There is no one way. There is no one right way. Everyone has individual physiology and biochemistry. Find that out first and apply what's going to work for that individual.
Yep. Brilliant. Katee, thank you so much, guys. We will leave some links in the description here on Facebook and on YouTube when I upload later. And I'll let you know as soon as possible when our next Q&A will take place. And of course, reach out to Katee. Like she said before, if she doesn't have the answers, she certainly knows the people who will. And she is just, in my opinion, an untapped resource that we need to be getting out to you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katee. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.